What's happening, YouTube? It is Mike from the Hardcover Comic here. Today we're going to talk about Department H, a underwater murder mystery, an absolute page turner of a book. This is from Dark Horse, so I'm very excited to talk about this and the four hardcover comics that covered the entire series. Real quick before we get started, please subscribe if you haven't already. Hit that notification bell. It'll let you know whenever we post a new video. Also, please give us a thumbs up if you end up enjoying the video. It helps us out a lot. Be sure to check out Dr. Squatch as well. They are a subscription service. With the link down below in the description, you get free shipping, absolutely free for your entire soap subscription. They have really cool scents, Irish cream and whiskey, Bow Chicka Wow Wow, cider IPA, a whole bunch of different scents. It's really, really cool. Check them out. At least check out their advertising. It's fantastic on their YouTube channel. Also, be sure to check out our Patreon where we are doing monthly hardcover comic giveaways. Or at least we're planning to once this whole situation cools down a little bit. We are still going to be pulling, names and whatnot, but getting things shipped and ordered and whatnot may be a little difficult, but that's happening on our Patreon. There's a link down in the description below. See how you can get involved in what all is happening there. All right, Department H, a great series from Matt Kindt. He wrote and drew the series, and his wife Charlene Kindt did the colors. Power comic couple doing work. Matt Kindt, if you are not familiar with his work, he does a lot of this sort of stuff where he writes and draws a series. He did that with Mind Management, which was a very big and popular series for him. He did that with Department H as well, and I'm sure he's done that with a few other books that now, of course, since I'm recording, are slipping from my mind. Aside from that, Matt Kindt has done a whole bunch of work with Valiant. He's done Ninjak, Rai, Unity, Exo Manowar. I mean, he's done so much work in the Valiant universe. He did a little bit of work at DC Comics as well, writing things like Justice League of America and some other tie-ins to the whole Trinity War thing that was happening back in the New 52. But Department H is one of his more recent babies. Of course, I spoke about one of his other series, Grass Kings, which is from Boom. So check that out if you haven't already. Matt Kindt right now, I think, is working on a couple titles. Black Badge, I think, wrapped up very recently. He's working on Folklords over at Boom and then Bang at Dark Horse. Folklords and Bang are both 5-issue miniseries. Folklords is fantastic. I think issue 1, it went into like 6 or 7 printings or something crazy like that. It's pretty wild, but it's a great miniseries. I've really enjoyed reading it. But Department H. So I had these books for a while, and I just got around to reading them now, because I was getting so many books at one point. It was like I didn't know what to read, and as soon as I started reading one thing, a new book would come in, and I'd want to read that, and it was tough. And Department H just sort of fell to the wayside. It being a standard hardcover too, it kind of turned me off of it, but I'm turning my ship around and I'm finally getting to enjoy this phenomenal series. First of all, Matt Kindt's artwork is not for everyone. It's not, if you're a fan of Jim Lee and you like only Jim Lee style artwork, this is not a book for you. I'm sorry. I'm not the biggest fan of Matt Kindt's artwork, but I really like it. And I think the thing is, like, it works really well for his indie books because it's his world. He's crafting it. You're not going into it with a bias like you are when, he may draw something like a DC character or a Marvel book or whatever it may be, right? So it works really well for his independent stuff. It worked well with Mind Management. It works well with Department H. And I think Matt Kindt even takes it to a whole new level because literally the page that he uses also has little, it'll say like log files 3-A, like it kind of feels like you're looking into a document even. It's pretty interesting. And so these 4 hardcovers collect all 24 issues of the series. That's as long as it ran. It's from start to finish. As you probably have noticed, these hardcovers do not come with dust jackets, as most Dark Horse comics do not. Some library editions do, but most of their standard size hardcovers do not, as far as I've experienced. And they're beautifully designed books. Don't get me wrong; they're absolutely stunning books. I love the graphic covers. Backs are sort of a little too dense with verbiage and praise for the series. It deserves the praise, no doubt, but they're just very wordy. In terms of the series itself, what are you getting here? It's an underwater murder mystery is the most high-level way to look at it. It follows a group of characters, but really the focal point is this character named Mia. She finds out that her father, Harry, I don't know how to pronounce it. It's spelled Hari. I'm sorry. It's probably Harry. Harry was murdered, basically, underwater. And he worked for this organization called Department H, basically run by billionaires that, wanted to fund this deep sea exploration to find new life, be able to create new medicine, make new discoveries. They all have their own motives, right? There's quite a few characters involved in the financing of this Department H project. But basically, you get to see Mia go down to Department H, and she's trying to figure out what happened. Right? Was he murdered? Was it an accident? Did someone here do it? Is someone here a mole or a spy? And that's how things start. That's what you go into the series thinking with issue number one. And in Matt Kindt's classic fashion, it's nothing what you think. There are so many twists and turns in this book. You're always it's seriously I at the start I said it's a page turner, and I really need to emphasize that this is a book you will not want to put down. Just when you think you know what's going to happen, you turn the page and it turns out you were completely wrong. And then you turn the next page and you're getting background information about a character, and it just all flows so seamlessly. And it's really, really, really well done. The story is very intricate with a lot of fascinating characters. And the great thing Matt Kindt does in volumes 2 and 3 particularly is he'll interweave sort of what's happening in the present with what happened to these characters in the past. So you get to a point where a character named Roger, who was Harry's old friend, is sitting with Mia in a room that's flooding. It's a control room that is slowly flooding, and they're waiting for the other crew members. Q, Mia's brother Raj is down there as well. He's part of the crew. There's a scientist named Jeremy who's part of the crew, and a couple other characters whose names I don't remember right now. But there's a pretty solid cast of characters down underwater in this Department H. And so this basically this one arc, pretty much all of Volume 2, you've got Roger and Mia pretty much in this room that's flooding, and they're sort of talking about the case, right? Who could have killed Harry? And Roger starts going back, this is how your father met this guy. This is how your father met this character. And you start seeing that sort of intermingle with what's happening in the present. And at times Matt Kindt will have 2 or 3 different plot threads happening within one issue, and it's really intricate, and it's really beautifully done. It's a bit difficult to follow 3 different stories at once, so it does bear some recalling and tracking back a little bit to make sure you're following along with everything and getting the full experience. But it's so beautifully done. There's so much richness in these 24 issues. I mean, seriously, you start to wonder, like, what could possibly happen over the course of these next 6 issues. And you'll read like the first 12 issues and you're like, how could there be this much more content left? And then it turns out, yeah, it makes sense that there's this much more content left. And I'm not going to spoil any more of the story because I think it deserves to be read. It's a really fantastic story that again, you really don't know what's going to happen. You don't know who to trust. The way you feel about characters is consistently changing as you see good and bad sides of everybody. And of course, at the end of the day, the moral of any story really is that none of us are fit to judge anybody because we don't know all the facts. We don't know the entire truth. And it's really fascinating. Matt Kindt does also explore Mia's past, along with her relationship with her brother, her father, this character named Roger, Harry's husband and her mother, Harry's wife and her mother. So you get to see, again, there's a lot of moving pieces in this, and it's interwoven so beautifully. I really absolutely love it. But let's talk a little bit about the artwork, because Matt Kindt's style, like I mentioned earlier in the video, is not for everybody. The main thing about the artwork is that it's not very crisp. There's a lot of line work. It's very jagged. It's always reminded me a little bit of Jeff Lemire's style. It's always reminded me a little bit of Jeff Lemire's style, which is not saying anything bad at all. It's just a different kind of style, right? It's a style that's not as focused on every single detail. It's not focused on making sure that things are photorealistic. It's all about interpreting what you want to portray as the writer, the artist, trying to portray a story and tell a story in the best way that you can. Now, granted, I can't draw anything as good as Matt Kindt can. I don't think I could anyway, especially not for 24 straight issues, doing everything, writing. It's an incredible feat what Matt Kindt has done here. But if it's not your style of artwork, it's just not your style. I'm pretty forgiving in terms of art styles. The only thing I get a little miffed about is like Rob Liefeld stuff, but that's mostly just poking fun and having a good time. I'm usually pretty open to art styles, so I was able to get through Matt Kindt's art style. I enjoyed it by the end of the story. It perfectly fit. And again, with mind management, I had the same issue where at times, same thing in Department H, it's tough to tell exactly what's going on. Or sometimes a character may look too similar to another character, so you're like, wait, I don't know exactly if it's Harry or Roger. It's a little tough to tell. But either way, it works incredibly well, and I really enjoyed it. I highly recommend checking this series out. It's lesser known, of course. Not too many people read Dark Horse in general, let alone something from Matt Kindt. He's an underrated creator, in my opinion. He's written some really phenomenal stories over his years as a comic book writer, and I hope he gets a little more recognition. He's got a really cool YouTube channel where he's going through his process on writing, penciling, inking, coloring. I highly recommend you guys check it out. He's posting content regularly, and it's really great insight into a creator's mind. If you're someone who wants to write or draw comics and you're a little worried where to start, if you're if you've been worried that your art style is not on the level of like a Jim Lee or a Gary Frank or whoever it may be, right? Just check out Matt Kindt's channel. Check out what he's done. Look at his bibliography, what he's drawn, what he's written, the creators he's worked with, the respect he's earned within the comic book industry, and really dive into his work because he's fantastic. He's incredibly talented. Not many creators can write and draw a book that is fantastic. Let me know what you think of Department H if you've read it, what you think of the artwork you've seen in this video. Are you interested in the book at all? Would you check it out? Of course, you don't need to pick up these hardcovers. You can just buy it digitally. I'm sure there are some great sales on now. In case anyone is curious, these do retail at 20 US dollars, so not much money at all. And like I said, you get 6 issues per book. If you're getting on IST, you're paying like, $2 an issue. These are really high quality hardcovers with really great paper. The only problem is that the binding is quite tight. It's a 6-issue standard size hardcover, so what are you expecting? So you're not going to it's not going to lay flat. You're going to have to hold it open, but it's really light. It's a standard size hardcover with only 6 issues in it. Really, really phenomenal book. I had a great time reading it. It made me wonder about what the point of all of this is. It made me wonder about the idea of revenge. It made me wonder about honoring legacy. There are a lot of really interesting points covered in this, and it's a great study on sort of how pasts influence the present. Sacrifices people give for their career, sacrifices people give for the love of other people. It's really beautiful. I definitely got emotional with this book. It's fantastic. I'm rambling on, just talking about how awesome it is. Check out Matt Kindt's channel and this book. But before you do that, be sure to smash that subscribe button if you haven't already, especially if you enjoyed the video. This is what we do every day, bringing you content. Be sure to hit that like button too. Like I said, if you enjoyed it, hit that thumbs up. It really helps us out. Be sure to check out Dr. Squatch too if you're interested in soap products or getting yourself a little cleaner and having someone bring that cleanliness to your front door. Lastly, just check out our Patreon if you're interested in the opportunity to win a hardcover comic every month for a single dollar. More details in the link down in the description below. Thank you all very much. This is Mike from the Hardcover Comic. Until next time, you stay classy, internet, and stay safe and sanitized.